very good evening. This is Lookuptv and welcome. We have great stories lined up for you. A team of reporters has been working around the clock just to ensure that you are in the know about the latest. And today, of course, top on the headlines is the East African Legislative Assembly and elections that are ongoing at the Senate. We have that and so much more. But before we get into the business, here are our top stories.
Headlines in association with
Tonight on Lookuptv, 2 die as another building collapses in Rwaka, Kiambu County. Quack Dr. Mugowerimu found guilty of running an illegal clinic and drugging patients to perform sexual offenses. And Winnie Odinga, Kalonzo's son, win first phase of Iala polls.
Yippee! Kamata floating at 349K. Oh yes, for only 349,000 Kenyan shillings, you become a plot owner at the Great Oasis Gardens, Nanyuki. The Great Oasis Gardens, Nanyuki is located along the Nanyuki-Rumuruti Road, only 11 minutes from the Cedar Mall and right opposite Mount Kenya Wildlife Estate. This is the best place to establish the getaway home that you have always dreamt about. For every 349,000 that you deposit or pay as installment towards any of Optiven's plot of land, you get 10K cash back instantly. Jaza basi twende Nanyuki. Bigger is indeed better.
Welcome to the broadcast. I am Nelima and the sign language interpreter for tonight is Philister Adundo. Do let us know where you're watching as from. We are coming to you live across all social media platforms at Lookuptv on Twitter, Lookuptv on Facebook, and Lookuptv on our official YouTube channel. And let's begin. In yet another incident of a collapsed building in Kiambu County, 2 lives have been lost and 2 others injured. The incident just 2 days after the 7-story building collapsed at Kasarani, Nairobi County, killing 1 and injuring 7 others. The victims of the Rwaka incident were an old couple who lived near the building under construction.
Unimaginable loss to yet another family. A somber mood that marooned Rwaka area barely a week after the Kasarani building tragedy that claimed 3 lives, and now Rwaka with an additional of 2 people who have so far been pronounced dead. It was one of those devastating days for Patrick Aromo, the son to the deceased couple Peter Njuthi and Faith Wamboi. He was awoken by a loud thud early Thursday at around 3:30 a.m. Little did he know that his parents would make news headlines as among the victims of tragic incidences of collapsed buildings.
Nilisikia tu mlio, so I thought labda kuna trailer imeanguka ama kitu kama hiyo kulingana na ile mlio ilikuwa hapo. So nikakuwa curious, nikatoka kustukia mimi nimeona nyumba ndio imeanguka na imeangukia of course nyumba ya madhe. Nimefeel so hopeless kwa wazazi wangu venye wamenilea, wametuonyesha mambo mazuri.
Construction had been halted following concerns over lack of professionalism applied in the construction of the building. Although a number of individuals had been arrested, the construction resumed almost immediately.
Kila mtu akipita hapa alikuwa anaona hii nyumba inaweza anguka. So mabishto wangu walikuwa wananiambia na hii nyumba sitakuja kuangukia, naambia yenyewe iko mbaya but tuna hope tu itaianguka. But unfortunately ile kitu tulikuwa tunaomba tu isiwahi happen imetugonga na kwa hivyo.
Kwa kusema kweli hii nyumba it has been condemned quite a number of times. Imewekwa max, imewekwa X, washashikwa mafudi.
Kiambu County Governor Kimani Wamatangi faulted contractors and the rot that existed within various concerned committees as well as leaders and stakeholders in offices, leading to his immediate dissolution of the board that approves construction across Kiambu County.
Haukukuwa mkaza wa kwanza, tulikuwa na mwingine kule Keno, tulikuwa na mwingine kule Roiro kama kaunti ya Kiambu. Na imekuwa sasa labda hii ni nyumba ya 8 kwa muda ya chini ya miezi misita ambaye imekuwa inaporomoka. Hivyo ni kusema ya kwamba kuna kasoro kubwa ambaye lazima irekebishwe.
In an audit report done by the National Construction Authority on building collapses in the country in 2020, an assessment involving 14,895 buildings found that 10,791 of the buildings were very unsafe and either needed to be demolished or reinforced before occupation. Another 1,217 buildings were found to be fair and only 2,194 certified as safe. A significant number of Kenyans are living on structural time bombs. According to the report, the country has recorded 87 building collapses over the last 5 years, while an estimate of 200 people have lost their lives in the last 5 years and over 1,000 injured as a result.
There was an incident at Ruiru. There was another one at Kirigiti. But I can confirm that the one at Kirigiti, the investigations, as the governor has seen, are complete. Actually, the file is lying with the DPP.
Rescue operations have been completed by officers drawn from Disaster Response Unit, the Red Cross and Kiambu Disaster Group. Efforts are underway to ensure the culprits have been brought to book. But the question remains, did someone sleep on their job? Cecilia Lubanga, Lookuptv.
Indeed, a very worrying trend. Thank you, Cecilia Lubanga, for that coverage. Moving on, Chief Magistrate Wendy Misheni has today found quack Dr. James Mugo Ndishu, famously known as Mugo Wairimu, guilty of running an illegal clinic and dragging patients to perform sexual offences against them. Ian Kitani now files the following story.
Mugo Wairimu, who hit the headlines 7 years ago for sexually assaulting his patients, was today arraigned at the Milimani Law Courts in Nairobi to face charges preferred against him by the state.
For his chosen profession, but the court did not believe that he was doing business as he told the court. He must have found a way and now penetrated into the system and presented himself as a nurse and all the other and all the other traits that he was conducting on, having presented himself as a pharmacist and also employing other people, and he was carrying out all this under the Prestige Health Clinic.
Chief Magistrate Wendy Misheni found Mugo Wairimu guilty of 10 charges out of the 12 charges fronted against him in court. Some of the charges of where Wairimu was found guilty include operating an illegal medical facility and unlawfully administering drugs to his patients, especially women, among other counts, with Magistrate Misheni ascertaining that the prosecution proved beyond doubt that the said doctor was guilty.
There was a file with the registration. He also visited the facility and he found that this facility had been licensed before, and the last license was issued had expired way back on the 30th of June 2013. Therefore, there were no licenses for the year 2014 and 2015.
He has, however, been acquitted on charges of raping his patient and unlawfully hiring 2 students to work with him at the clinic due to lack of evidence.
And therefore, the conclusion is the accused person is acquitted in counts number 1, that is rape. It was the employment, since that was not adequately proved. But he's, however, convicted in counts number 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12, as appears in the charge sheet. He's convicted under Section 215 of the Criminal Procedure Code.
Ian Keitane, Lookuptv.
And away from the corridors of justice, and now to the Parliament. The bicameral Parliament of the Senate and the National Assembly has voted and approved 9 legislators from a list fronted by Kenya Kwanza and Azimio coalitions to serve as Kenya's representatives in the East African Legislative Assembly, EALA. The Kenya Kwanza coalition will have 5 members in the Assembly, following the approval of Hassan Omar, Zipporah Kering, Mwangi Godfrey Minor, David Sankok, and Falhada Diko. 4 slots will go to Azimio, with the House approving Suleiman Shabal, Kennedy Musyoka, Winnie Odinga, and Kanini Kega to take up the slots in the Assembly.
Honorable members wish to read out the names of the persons who will represent Kenya in the East African Legislative Assembly. from the Kenya Kwanza Alliance Coalition, the 5 persons who will represent Kenya in the East African Legislative Assembly are as follows. 1, Hassan Omar. 2, Kering Zipora Chesang Kurgat. 3, David Olesankok. 4, Mwangi Godfrey Maina. 5 honorable members, I'm not done. And 5, Iman Falhada Deko. These are read taking into account the gender regulations. And I go on to read those who are the successful candidates and will represent Kenya in the East African Legislative Assembly from the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Coalition. 1, Kalonzo Kennedy Musyoka. 2, Odinga Imgad Winnie. 3, Kega James Mathenge Kanini. 4, Shabal Suleiman Said. Thank you, honorable members.
And away from that, former Raila Odinga running mate Martha Karua has questioned the withdrawal of graft charges against top leaders in the government. Speaking during the Uganda Human Rights Conference held in Nairobi, Karua warned that if the move is not controlled, it may lead to the rise of dictatorship in Kenya. Shadrack Karua now reports.
Mufungamano House in Nairobi on Thursday acted as a safe house for Ugandan opposition leaders and victims of torture as they conducted a conference, which they said could have not been successful in Uganda. It is during the Uganda Human Rights Conference, which was spearheaded by Ugandan leaders of opposition, including Bobby Wine and Kizza Besigye, where Martha Karua was in attendance, got a chance to speak.
We have seen land grabbing cases, affidavits being sworn, saying there was no land grabbing. How come all these cases about people in power, not the ordinary people?
Karua questioned the speed at which graft cases against top government officials are being withdrawn. Karua warning that if not controlled, will lead to formation of a dictatorship.
Something is cooking in Kenya, and this is the making of dictatorship. I am here to stand in solidarity with Uganda, but to remind my fellow Kenyans that our silence will make a dictator worse than we have ever seen.
The politicians also opposed the proposal to scrap presidential term limit.
As democracy hasn't yet been consolidated, anything can happen to it. And some dangerous signs are already popping their heads. You heard of a leader who was saying term limits should be removed. Those kinds of voices must be hit on the head at the beginning so that they don't have time to worry.
Uganda opposition leader called on the international community to help save Ugandans from what they term as dictator leadership of Ugandan President Kaguta Museveni.
To the international community, we use every opportunity to call up the international community, and I want to do the same right now. You are the people that are propping up monsters in Africa. Idi Amin was supported by you majorly until you got tired of him. Mugabe was supported by you until you got tired of him. My question is, haven't you gotten tired of Museveni yet?
The victims of torture in Uganda shared their experience.
A woman, as I ran, a woman called out to me shouting and saying, "Your son has been shot, come back." And he says, he responded saying, "It can't be my son that has been shot." His son was away from a police officer who opened fire, and the bullets made him fall into a trench.
Shadrack Karua, Lookuptv.
Thank you, Shadrach Arria, for that report. We do have to take a very fast break here on the program, but do not go too far. And as well, you can send in your feedback. I will be sampling some of that at the tail end of the bulletin. But for now, we take the break. Don't go too far.
Hiso Properties Limited. Bado tunakutangazia Lanet Oasis Nakuru City. Ploti hizi ni za 50 by 100 na ni mita 500 tu kutoka kwenye barabara ya lami. Lanet Oasis kuna maji na stima, barabara za maram na ni karibu na shule ya Anesta Boys. Eneo hili lina usalama wa hali ya juu. Ploti ya 50 by 100 tunakuuzia shilingi milioni 1.6 na hii ndio fursa ya mwisho na bei hii. Tutembelee ofisi zetu hapa jijini Nakuru Tower 1 Building, orofa ya 3 au wasiliana nasi kupitia nambari 0758 707 050 au tuma neno Lanet kwa nambari 21404. Hiso Properties Limited, a culture of trusts.
Good to have you join us on Heart to Heart.
We bring you stories of people who, despite the pressures they experienced, still trusted God to see them through.
The seeds that was sown in me helped me navigate and overcome that period of my life.
New testimonies, new insights, and even better revelation of the good things God has in store for us.
There is always a blessing waiting for someone in every episode.
Welcome, you're watching The CEO. On this show, where we invite masters, captains of industry.
It's all about working in teams. Customers are happy, it's a good month, the markets are good. I mean, those are very exciting moments.
Ladies and gentlemen who tell us where and how to find money and put money in our pockets and how to go about doing business in the best possible way.
For me, I'm not serving myself, I'm serving community.
And welcome back. This is Lookup News. Nancy Nelima here and Felista Adundo on the sign language interpretation. Let's continue. The Ministry of Education Cabinet Secretary Ezekiel Machogu held a meeting with education stakeholders in Kisumu County ahead of the much anticipated national examinations set to commence later this month. Machogu took to the chance to assure Kenyans of a credible examination exercise while also inviting the public to air their views on March's education.
Thank you very much. We are here in Kisumu today to give an assurance to the entire country that we are well prepared for this year's exam. As you are aware, there are 3 exams which are going on consecutively at the same time with effect from 28th of this month. We did the official launch where the chief guest was His Excellency the President of the Republic of Kenya, the Deputy President, Rigathi Gachagua, in Nairobi, and we have been able to send out the papers to the 493 distribution and storage centers in each and every part of the country. This is an assignment, an exercise that the entire government is involved. My colleagues in the cabinet will be involved in this, and we want to assure you that all is well. We now have our center managers in each and everywhere. The principals, the head teachers are the center managers. We are also sending the security personnel to man each and every center.
And staying on education matters, the presidential team of stakeholders on educational reforms has only one day to the deadline to present opinions collected from citizens from different counties regarding the new CBC curriculum. Following this, private schools in Narok County have requested the government to consider providing materials for curriculum competence to both public and private schools.
CBC students are expected to cross the bridge towards secondary school soon. The curriculum has continued to be bolstered, despite facing huge controversy causing mixed reactions among Kenyans, as they only have one day left to present opinions collected from Kenyans from all over the country. In Narok County, private school stakeholders have asked the government to provide them with resources in order to enforce the CBC curriculum. The head teacher of Narok Blessed School, Jifat Ikenye, has called upon the government to consider their request, as many parents, including those who have children in private schools, have decried the expense of the equipment, as the implementation of the curriculum has been highly expensive.
Private schools have been neglected in some way. Now the CBC requires a lot of materials for the implementation. I would urge the government to consider private schools in the provision of materials for the projects.
The head teacher has also asked the workforce monitoring the implementation of CBC to consider the pupils to remain in primary schools, as they are still too young to join secondary schools.
They have put into consideration putting junior secondary school within the primary school. It is the most important thing to consider, bearing in mind that those children who are graduating from junior secondary, they are still young. At the age of 12, they are not big enough to be combined with senior secondary school students.
Mitaruan, Lookuptv.
Thank you, Mitara. Now let's talk about some business. The Kenya Development Corporation, KDC, has affirmed its commitment to address critical gaps in the market for long-term financing in sectors such as infrastructure, manufacturing and agro-industry that cannot be met by commercial banks. KDC has outlined its 21 billion shillings investments portfolio and some of its properties on sale, such as Intercontinental and Hilton hotels. Erijon Mokora now reports.
And we need to harness.
With the theme building strong value chains through an enabling financial environment, this stakeholder engagement, which consists of funders, investors and other players in the financing value chain, is aimed at exploring opportunities for partnership through shared commitment to the growth and development of the business landscape in Kenya and beyond.
So, working with the State Department of Livestock and the other government agencies, the project will support doing feasibility studies, identifying opportunities for investment in the livestock value chain, and if there is commercial viability of those investments, then they can approach KDC for financial support.
KDC Director General Christopher Hooker has stated that the corporation's aim is to create sustainable strategic partnership both locally and internationally, as they provide expertise, technology and financial resources, as well as shared knowledge that would translate to growth of sectors providing the highest socio-economic returns.
One critical thing for KDC, as we pursue the partnerships that we are looking for, is the sustainability. Most government entities don't see to deliver their mandate. Reason being, the sustainability element lacks in the operation of most of these entities. So in institutional sustainability is important to KDC. We want to become the driver and enabler of social and environmental sustainability. It is when we are strong and resilient that we're able to contribute in making our country strong and protecting the natural environment.
In the same way that KDC has created partnership to develop the livestock value chain, KDC is seeking partnership with whom it can equally develop other sectors that have the potential for high socio-economic impact, like developing the blue economy, post-harvest management, and enhancing access to green and renewable energy. Edin John Mokora, Lookuptv.
Time now for some sporting action. Soft drink giant Coca-Cola, in partnership with FIFA, has awarded 4 winners a trip to Qatar to watch the FIFA World Cup. The winners will watch different group stage matches. The company has also launched a program to entertain football lovers by touring different parts of